Hey,
Uh,
welcome to Both
wait,
Sides Now. What a week. Oh my God.
yeah.
Oh my God.
Oh,
Have you been watching
yeah.
the Secret Service lady get grilled by Jim Jordan and James Comer? I think that's what his name is. Maybe it's not James.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I
Anyway.
actually forgot about that. I forgot that she was doing that today, and that it could possibly be on television. Is it on C-SPAN?
Well, I was watching it, I think, on MSNBC, and
Oh, okay.
then it went away to the vice president introducing herself and stuff like that. Her first words. So now I don't know what's happening. So I've been paying
Yeah.
bills, like I said, and not in front of the
Yeah.
TV screen. But
Is that
so
did I hear a lot of shuffling of paper while you were setting up then?
yes, you did. You saw shuffling of paper. I was paying some bills while I was waiting for you. Yes.
But the shuffling, does that mean that we still use checks and mail the
I
check in?
do.
Or-
I do. I
Really?
do. I have resisted online banking. I have.
Oh,
And
wow.
I'm still resisting it until they refuse to put to send me checks, or they refuse to pay attention to my check writing. Yeah. I've been refusing. So that's just
What
who I am.
was it? Target, I think. Target just recently, or is about to
Yes, I
end
saw that. Hmm.
accepting checks. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that
Yeah.
I use credit card for that. It's just
Yeah.
the bill paying I've been resisting. For some
Okay.
reason it remains more comfortable for me. I spend too much freaking time on the computer as it is. And so
Yeah.
even bill paying by check is a relief from getting me away from my screen. So
Yeah.
that's one reason. It may be a silly one to some people, but that's the way it is.
No,
But I do everything. I mean, I buy everything by credit card. I never take cash, and I certainly don't take checks to the grocery store. Everything is by credit card, but I've just resisted paying the actual bills at the end of the month online. It's just a symptom of my age. What can I tell you? Speaking of
no,
age, come on, let's get to
also
the week. How are you feeling
also
today?
what you know. I got up real early this morning for a group call on another application called Clubhouse, and it's an audio, like a party line. If you remember that, where you call an 800 number and you talk to 1,000 different people or whatever.
Oh my goodness.
You,
Yeah.
you can call. You can sign into this thing, and you got to kind of sort of know it's there. But anyway, it's actually every day at 6 a.m.
Wow.
But two colleagues of mine from podcasting are on it on Mondays, and in fact, they each lead a half-hour session of motivational speaking and kind of personal problem solving, or whatever you want to call it.
Mm-hmm.
So I joined today. They asked me. They actually first asked me to join last week, right after the assassination attempt,
Mm-hmm.
and there was like a military sniper on there, and some other relevant people, and they asked me some
Oh.
questions about security and what happened in Butler, Pennsylvania, and so on. So yeah, but then right after that, I passed out, and I messaged you
Yeah.
maybe around 10 of 11
Oh.
or 11:30, somewhere around there,
Yeah.
when I asked about the time,
Yep.
because when we
Yep.
talked yesterday, you had just said in the one text, "See you at 12."
Yep. Yep. Yep.
I was like, okay, well
Yep.
that's good, just 12 straight up. And then I confirmed that, or did you want to do the usual 11:45? And I just put the phone down, and I picked it up a
Passed out.
little bit later and saw that you said 12 was okay if I wanted to see the vice president, and I had no idea what you were talking about, but I just saw that 12 was okay, so I'm like, okay, I can go back to sleep for a little bit. And I woke up in that panicked mode, like, oh my god, I'm going to be late for school.
Yeah.
uh, at 10 after 12, and I'm like, oh.
Yeah, there's no problem. Like I said, I entertained myself paying my bills, and now I'm done. So I feel good about having accomplished that little task today. So let's get to it. I had read somewhere or heard somewhere in your communication over the past couple of weeks that you were suggested you weren't happy with your former colleagues or former institution, that is the Secret Service. So you want to talk about that?
Well, yeah, there were some colleagues of mine that are also retired that, I mean, yes, it's clear that there are things that could have been done better
Mhm,
during the assassination attempt on the 13th.
mhm.
But Sunday and Monday, when these people get on television or on their own radio show and television show, and this is usually adult language, their mother effing the Secret Service, and in one case, literally turning around and saying not to jump to conclusions.
Yeah. So
You
out
know,
of
I'm not
both
a fan
sides
of,
of their mouths. Yes,
yeah,
yes, yes,
yeah.
yes,
You
yes,
know, I'm not a
yes,
fan of
yes.
Dan Bongino,
Well, I was
a
going to
former.
say it just plays into that whole thing we're into right now, and that is creating drama.
Yeah,
Giving our listeners
outrage
or our
overload.
watchers, something to complain about, something to be
Yep.
angry about, something to yeah, yeah. I hate that.
And he comes on. Dan Bongino comes on, the guy that was fired from Fox,
Mm-hmm.
comes on his show now, which is on Rumble, and I think he's on the radio too. Comes on an emergency broadcast.
Mm-hmm.
This was Sunday because he's a Monday through Friday guy, but he does a Sunday emergency broadcast.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody needs to tune in and hear me.
Mm-hmm.
And
Well,
it says
that's how they get
abysmal.
that's how they get rich though, right?
Oh
Unlike
yeah,
ourselves.
he's doing that. That's, I guess that's my goal, to try to do
Mm,
it my way, the
mhm.
middle route.
Yeah.
Um, but he starts off by saying abysmal,
Mhm.
just abysmal.
Mhm.
Now I don't want you to jump to any conclusions yet
But
because
abysmal. Yeah.
but we've already decided it's abysmal,
Mhm.
and I'm like, really, dude?
Mhm.
And so, yeah, another guy I didn't even recognize, and I worked with him. This one guy named Chris McClinick is here in Florida, where he, has been from, but somehow he got a connection in a station in Los Angeles. So he's on this big LA station
Mhm.
as their like security expert or whatever.
Mhm.
And he's saying about how there's going to be management replaced
Mhm.
and all kinds of shakeups, and like, well, didn't we have issues like that back in 2012 when somebody
Mhm.
actually made it in the White House?
Mhm.
Nobody lost their job then. So calm
Mhm.
down.
I think she's going to lose her job though.
Well, there's actually other issues with her. I have a friend and obviously coworker who is a boss. Like, so there's two pay scales that are used at the Secret Service.
Mhm.
One is called the GS scale. It stands for general scale. That's in
Mhm.
all of government. Well, actually, they're both in all of government, but one is for
Mhm.
your basic employees,
Mhm.
and that goes from 1 to 15, a
Mhm.
rank from 1 to 15.
Mhm.
I started as a 7, went to a 9, then an 11, 12, and journeyman level was 13. A 14 is my boss.
Mhm.
A 15 is his or her boss, middle management. And then the upper management people are what's called senior executive service, totally separate pay scale. It's also what the cabinet members are on, um, junior members of Congress, that kind of thing. And my buddy got tested and went through all the training to be SES
Mm-hmm.
and upper management in the Secret Service.
Mm-hmm.
Made it to deputy assistant director, and the next step would be assistant director. And there's like seven assistant directors,
Mm-hmm.
and then one deputy director, and then the boss.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
He was passed up by her
Ooh.
for another candidate that was female, less experienced, scored less on the tests and other grading, and was just essentially handpicked by Director Cheadle because she made it very known that she was promoting women.
Ah, okay.
And he and I are not saying this about, being sexist. Some of my favorite bosses were women.
Mm-hmm.
Some of my favorite colleagues were women.
Mm-hmm.
It's not if you could do the job. I mean, I guess there's a level of physical strength that women just don't have.
Correct.
Compared to somebody who spends, all day in the gym and takes all the supplements and whatever. But there's other aspects that if you can do the job, you can do the job. In this case, management. And he was able to prove that this was discrimination.
Mm-hmm.
And he put it all in front of her, literally, directly to her, and said, "You're going to lose in court." And this was a year ago. So he's been on paid administrative leave for a year.
Wow.
With permission to work. I mean, we're talking good six figures with permission to work another job.
Wow.
With, still has his take home car in case he does get called for something. Not on any sort of, it's not a disciplinary thing. So he's still allowed to come back into headquarters whenever he wants to, although he doesn't have to, obviously. And so for a year, he retires later this month.
No kidding.
And so he'll still retire at.
So you've in conversation with him?
Yeah. And it's not like he's a source for anything because he's not there.
Right.
To hear gossip.
Right.
But
Right.
There's a lot of cases like that. Point being, and I think that's going to come out now when they talk about
Gotcha. I hear you.
You've seen.
Yep.
If you've seen the TikTok video, somebody took the footage of the female agent that struggled to holster her gun.
Right. We watched that.
When in actuality, as a shift agent, she shouldn't have had that out in the first place.
Yeah, I think you said that last week. Yep.
And they mixed it with the interview footage of Director Cheadle saying that she's going to be promoting a diverse workforce, especially women. And they're trying to make the point that here's what you promoted.
Yeah, that's unfortunate.
That was just agent. Yeah.
So what do you think about the big news?
Well, if it finally unites the Democrats and keeps Trumpity Dump out of office, then I'm all for it.
You have some reservations, however?
Well, this is something that could have been done a while ago.
Right.
I mean, he's got an argument, he doesn't. But I was going to say this is one area where Trump kind of has an argument in that he's been doing all this time campaigning against Biden because that's who was obviously the winner. Mm-hmm. Now all of a sudden they switch it up and put Kamala Harris in. Mm-hmm. Is there a level of fairness on that?
Oh, I don't. Please. No.
Yeah, I know you don't care too much.
I'm sorry.
This is me being impartial.
No. No, I'm not going there at all. And I hope nobody else does either.
Oh, he has already.
Well, of course, he's going to use anything, but I'm talking about intelligent people.
Yeah. And then, there is the counter to that. Well, she's farther behind in campaigning to debate him versus campaigning to and debating whoever he picks as a vice presidential candidate, which is also my point. If in fact they knew he was slowing down, they should have capitalized a long time ago on, I forget what his exact words were, but he kind of made it sound from the get-go that he was going to be a one-term president.
Exactly. I remember that. Yep. And then I figured he changed that because if you already announce at the beginning of your first term that you're going to be a one-term president, you've already labeled yourself as a lame duck. So having to say, no, I'm going to do the second term kind of thing takes away that whole lame duck argument. So I didn't have any trouble with his switching it up on that. And frankly, Paul was saying he should have done this earlier, blah, blah, blah. Well, yes and no. Certainly perhaps after the debate would have been the time, but to give him some opportunity to redeem himself after that, going on interviews and doing some campaigning and so forth, allows history to see him as still wanting to be in the fight, still a fighter. Yeah. And there's no way he should have announced this before the Republican convention, because that convention takes all the air out of the room, all the publicity. There would have been nothing there, but to announce directly after that, now he gets the air again. So I understand that too. From
I can't help but think that as he saw pressure build, that he did actually intentionally wait until after the Republican convention.
Yeah. Well, I don't know about that. Yeah, go ahead.
Well, yeah, because the other thing, they picked J.D. Vance, who is a mini-me of Trump.
Right.
Even though he was the one that called Trump Hitler.
Right.
And referred to him as an opioid.
Yep.
Considering where Vance is from, where an opioid crisis is one of his biggest killers. Right. That's not a compliment.
Right. Did you happen to see Mayor Pete Buttigieg on Bill Maher?
Okay, just remember it like this.
Did you see that on Bill Maher? Did you see him on Bill Maher? He was brilliant.
I saw the clip, but here's the pronunciation: boot edge.
Boot edge. Buttigieg? No. Boot edge.
Yep. Buttigieg.
Buttigieg. Anyway, Did you see him on Bill Maher? He was
great.
Oh my God, he was so good.
Yeah, there's like a social media clip of it floating around. Yeah, I've been saying that.
I know, and I said to you last night that he'd kind of lost his shine over the past couple of years, Pete. But watching him on Bill, it was like, all right, he's back. This is good. He was really good. He was really good.
If by shine you mean the spotlight.
No.
See, I don't think he lost a step.
He may not have, but transportation has had so many problems in the past couple of years that he kind of owns that. And I'm not saying he does. I'm saying that people will blame him for that.
He's fixed
for all those things. Pardon me?
He's fixed them. The infrastructure stuff was largely in transportation, bridges and such.
Yeah, well,
and
I'm talking about
oversaw the repair of that.
I'm talking about the airlines, you know.
He fixed that too.
Yeah. Well, they're still having flat tires on the
Well,
runway.
there's
I mean,
there's
that's
the
pretty recent. So I just figure he'd take the hit for
I
all
didn't hear
those.
about
That's
that one.
all.
I know there's the issue with Boeing.
Yes.
Yeah, I know there's that.
Yeah.
By the way, am I sounding okay?
Yes.
Okay, good. Good.
Yes. There were a few
I don't
moments earlier on in our conversation that you kind of were weird, but now you're great.
okay. Okay. I've gotten into the habit of not pumping my sound into my headphones because the latency of a USB mic, you hear yourself like a second after you've said it, and it's hard to.
Oh, that's annoying. Oh my God. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
How do you do that? Yeah. That's really
yeah,
weird. Anyway, so I, as you may remember, was in support of Joe and
yeah.
annoyed with the Democrats who are all over him. And I was really pleased with AOC, and I was really pleased with Bernie Sanders, who were demonstrating their loyal support of the president. And yet I will be honest with you, when that flashed on my phone yesterday afternoon that he had withdrawn himself from the campaign, I mean, my heart leaped. It was like, oh my God, now there's energy. So I guess I was just suppressing a lot of concerns that I have. But, I'll have to tell you, it's women's turn. Paul would like to see her choose Whitmer from Michigan for her VP. But she's got a lot of good choices. So there you go. I just hope. I don't know.
Why does he like Whitmer?
He just likes her. I don't know. He didn't say, and I didn't ask him specifically what he liked about her, but maybe it was just the all girls ticket. It's hard to know.
Yeah, I don't think two women will pass the party
I
rubber
don't
stamp.
think so either. Yeah, I don't think so either. But I love Shapiro, of course, but I really was.
I got a guy here at Yergz Radio who's saying it's going to be Shapiro.
And I was re-energized with Pete again this morning when I heard him. That would be a smart choice. I mean, either one of them going forward, Shapiro, Buttigieg, whatever. Anyway, you're laughing at my pronunciation.
I've been following Secretary Buttigieg instead of Mayor Pete. Secretary.
Okay, I'll go there.
I've been following him in his various testimonies in various hearings throughout the past 3.5 years. And there were so many attempts to piss him off by the line of questioning that Republicans give and so on and so forth. And what a class act.
Unflappable.
He absolutely refused to bite.
Yep. He's really good.
I think my favorite one is the one Republican asked about, the condition of the president by noting that the president fell off of his bicycle. Mm-hmm. And with an underhanded slap at Trump, he replies with, well, I'm just glad we have a president that can ride a bicycle. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And the room just went, oh. And when you saw it on social media, there's a scene from the movie Friday starring Ice Cube and not Chris Rock, but Chris Tucker, two very famous black comedic actors.
Okay.
And there's a scene where they're all sitting on this front porch, and somebody, verbally slams somebody else. And the two guys sitting aside of each other, one of them's Chris Tucker, they just lean to the other direction and go, damn.
So that's how you reacted to Secretary Pete.
Okay. Kids running out on an errand for something.
Very good. Well,
So yeah,
yeah. So that's the big news. I'm re-energized, and I because lately, the past couple of weeks or so, I guess since the debate, that debacle, I really have had to stay away from the news. I was just way too depressed, I suppose. But I think I can watch it again now because there is some
I think
hope, re-energies, you know.
one of the telltale things you said about a his condition and his opportunity to prove himself that it was just a bad night.
Hmm.
He was sick, and what we now know is COVID.
Yep.
There was a possible jet lag and whatever else.
Yeah, whatever. Maybe he had
Um,
taken an not anti-inflammatory, an anti-congestant of some kind, that kind of put him to sleep. It does that.
well,
Hard to know.
then
Hard to know. We'll never know, probably.
but then came the NATO summit that was in DC,
Mm-hmm.
and in the press conference that should have been, his moment to show that he can still shine. He refers earlier in the day. He refers to Kamala Harris as Vice President Trump,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I caught that.
and
Yeah.
then having to come out with President Zelensky,
Yeah,
he
and
refers
calling
to him
him
as
Putin.
President
Yeah.
Putin,
Yeah. Yeah.
all in the same day.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's history now. That's gone. Let's move on. So
Yeah,
I
oh
don't want to
yeah,
talk about that. Yeah.
but it certainly didn't help his cause
No.
when
Correct.
he said that he
And
can do this.
You know, and I wonder, and of course we'll probably never know, but what was the single thing? What was the moment in which he said, "Yeah, shit, not doing this anymore"? I mean, was it the final COVID test today that showed that he was, or yesterday that showed that he was still positive, and maybe that was the deal he made with himself? If I'm still positive on Sunday, that's going to be the Lord telling me, never mind. Yeah, I'd love to know what that final trigger was. So, but again, that's
Um,
a personal thing. We'll probably never know. Yeah.
I have to what? I have to guess and just surmise, Monday morning quarterback like everybody else,
All right.
that there was pressure.
Oh, yeah.
The thing that I didn't like about it is that there was very, very little jump. In fact, I'm surprised it's not being talked about. When you have your convention, at the end of the convention, your polling numbers go up.
Right.
Trump's didn't.
Correct. Yep.
Trump's didn't.
Right.
Not,
That is
not by
correct. Yep.
not by real noticeable numbers. Yeah, he's ahead mostly, and the fact of that is he's not even ahead in all the polls yet
Yeah.
after his own convention.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
when you have, I think I got to get this right here. It was 46 to 42 was the one poll, which totals out to 88% of the voters, which would leave 12% for independents.
Mm-hmm.
But they showed 17% for independents,
Huh.
which means that's 105. The reason why they allow that is because they have, in some cases, they had people that might have taken two choices. The other thing is it's the margin of error.
Mm-hmm.
So Trump's only ahead by 4 points.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's the margin of error, meaning that it could be, instead of 46-42, it could be 42-46.
Mm-hmm.
And you're not going to know until game day.
Right. Right. Well, the fact
So
that we
instead
are
of
that
picking
close
one,
is depressing. So I don't even like to think
yeah,
about that. I
yeah.
mean,
Well,
it's like,
when that's actually a joke at the White House Correspondents' Dinner.
yes,
Uh,
and they're tied. Yes, I
yeah,
love that line.
exactly.
That's one of my favorites. I'm eager to watch Rachel tonight. I'm eager to watch Jon Stewart tonight. It will be fun.
So for me,
Yes.
somebody who has been a lifelong impartial. I mean, I was a baseball umpire at 12, a hockey
Mm-hmm.
referee at 13, a
Mm-hmm.
police officer, Secret Service agent protecting both sides of the political spectrum. For me, Rachel Maddow is nothing more than the liberal Dan Bongino.
Okay. Well, I don't find her presentation to be obscene in the way that I
Now-
find Dan Bongino's.
Oh,
So
yeah.
there's a
Yeah.
there's a
Yeah.
definite, so I can't make that equation at all.
I just say that on level of extremism, that everything is the Republicans' fault. And Joe
Well,
Biden
it
can do
is.
no
Well,
wrong.
it is. I do not pretend to be nonpartisan. In fact, there are some really cool memes that came across my Facebook page today. One was a blue wave with a really strong woman managing that blue wave. I love that. And then there was another one, the Statue of Liberty in absolute agony, all in blue. And I just, whatever you do, whoever it is, or whatever.
Yeah, I saw that one too, actually. That's not the one I thought you were going to mention.
Yeah.
There's another one with her.
Yeah, I saw that.
With him,
yeah.
The Statue of Liberty, and she's like another Statue of Liberty in front of the Statue of Liberty.
Yeah. I don't like that one as much. I like the other one that basically says, I don't care who it is, vote blue. I mean, that's Jane.
Yeah. Well, the second one.
At this point, that's me, and I make no apologies for it.
You got to get the references that are in the second one, though, and I think you'll like it a little bit better.
Okay.
The Statue of Liberty is holding a torch.
Yeah.
And now Kamala Harris was holding a torch as well.
Yeah.
But there's the symbolism there of passing the torch.
Ah, yes.
That, he's now given it to her to carry it forward, which of course is the week before the Olympics, where you're going to be passing the baton.
Yes.
And that's and also there's the torch in the Olympics.
Yeah.
So
that's an exciting thing too. I've caught up with all my Time magazines, because I've been doing a lot of floating, and I catch up with them. And I read an interesting article about I don't know what her title is. Maybe it's the president of I don't know, but Paris, okay, or mayor or whatever. That she was determined. No, not him. This is a woman. And she was determined. Okay. She was determined to clean up the river, the Seine, so that the athletes could float down the river as opposed to, running in and doing the torch in the usual way, which I love. So I also enjoyed watching her then on TV swim to demonstrate that it was a completely swimmable body of water now. And so I'm looking forward to that, because I really liked her attitude and her goals for the Olympics this time, to change it up a little bit and not build something in the city that costs the city so much revenue that they can never recover from. I really liked the fact that she was doing something at the Eiffel Tower.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So as opposed to building something special just for the Olympics, I really liked her attitude in that. I thought that was really kind of good. So there's a lot of exciting things going on, a lot of energy, that happened in the past 48 hours, I suppose, that, that I'm really happy about. So it's kind of reawakened some hope, and that's a cool thing. We'll see where it goes from there.
Back to her vice presidential pick.
Oh, okay.
J.D. Vance was chosen because he is a Trump mini-me.
Mm-hmm.
he's not going to get any voter demographics that are different from what Trump would get.
Nothing from Ohio?
Means,
Will
well,
he secure that battleground state?
Possibly, but he's not exactly. They're not planning on winning Ohio because they didn't win Ohio last time.
All right.
Pennsylvania, on the other hand, they won, and Pennsylvania is once again a toss-up.
Mm-hmm.
So with, like you said, Josh Shapiro, who
good point. Good point. Good point.
Jake Didinsky, from Yergz Radio, says that he's actually a Democratic. What is one of those people that votes? A delegate. He's actually a Democratic delegate for the Democratic Party, and
now that would be a smart choice. Yeah,
he is saying Shapiro for all those reasons, and it would strengthen the policy with Israel because Shapiro is Jewish.
Yep.
And I thought, well, are they going to really want to elect a Jew? And because that's sometimes like, well, he got elected in Pennsylvania.
I know.
So I think that's we'll be okay.
Yeah.
So that as a vice president, another white male will help bring in that demographic of voter, and will pretty much eliminate the strength of J.D. Vance as a choice.
It was
because I think he'll be as equally good of a debater.
Oh yeah. Oh
and
yeah.
People have also said, for as much as J.D. Vance is like this masculine, musclehead wannabe, man's man type, they said he's no dummy. And speaking of memes, I saw a photo of the four of them: Melania, Donald, J.D. Vance, and whatever his wife's name is, who's also an immigrant. And the caption read, "I'm confused."
Yeah.
I'm confused. So which immigrants do we deport and which immigrants do we marry?
Right.
And more hypocrisy.
Right. It's rampant. It's
but
rampant now.
If we need to fight fire, if we need to fight fire with fire, as far as the VP candidate goes, there's another one who's proven he's a bit of a rebel.
What? Fetterman?
He's also liked in Pennsylvania.
He's never. No. They're not going to let him do that. No. They're not going to let him do that for his sartorial choices alone.
If J.D. Vance at 39 can be a vice presidential candidate and a freshman senator, and let's remember, Barack Obama was a freshman senator. Fetterman, having survived a stroke.
Oh, I just love him.
Still wears hoodies wherever he goes, whatever. Whatever the dress code is. And he's put his money where his mouth is. He's paid up.
He has. Yep. Definitely.
And he was another very much pro Biden.
Yep. He was very loyal. Yep.
So
anyway, there we have it. It will now be for me way more hopeful and way more interesting. So we'll see where things go.
Did you see Vice President Harris today? I missed it because I had passed out, as I said.
I did. She was only on for a couple minutes that I saw, and then I came in to pay my bills and wait for you. But what she did in the moments that I saw her, and I recorded it, so if there's anything else, I'll be able to report on that, at some point. Yes. But the few minutes that she was on, she was just really saying really nice things about Joe Biden. So,
yeah, and see, that's the whole. I mean, let's put it where let's call it what it is. He was forced out.
Yes. Oh yes.
It wasn't. I don't know how to say. This is going to sound really stupid. It wasn't a bad forced out.
No, it was fine for me because it showed me what a fighter the guy is. When you fall down, you get back up. and I liked that spirit a lot. And
Yeah.
that's how I saw it. And the fact that he had to be forced out, I'm fine with that. Because to me, he went out as a fighter, and I respect that a lot.
Yeah.
Probably not everybody will see it that way, but I sure do. And I have no problem with it. So there you go.
Yeah.
So meanwhile, go ahead.
Meanwhile, earlier this morning, I got a message from WDJY in Atlanta.
Okay.
And now we'll have a spot in the roughly the same time frame as the other shows at the 11 o'clock hour on Wednesday, even though this will be at 12 noon.
Mm-hmm.
So now on Monday through Friday at 11 or 12 with WDJY. Now I'm
Nice.
not live on all of those yet, but that's the intention.
Nice.
We turned our 11 o'clock spot into a live spot, which is right before the other Friday live spot, which means that's now a 2-hour show. And
Very good.
We just had our first or second one this past week. I
You're
think it was
turning into Morning Joe in the Atlanta region. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
And so I'm been working with some other radio gurus, presenters, and whatever, who have been coaching me on trying to get rid of the ums.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and the way you do that, the easiest way to do that is to intentionally slow yourself down.
Mm-hmm.
You say because you're not really ready to speak yet.
Mm-hmm. They just swallow them. Yeah.
And so if you're okay with the silence,
mm-hmm.
and then you continue with everything you were going to continue saying, or when you finally thought of it.
Right.
And I think a lot of I if you think back and listen to him, if you've ever listened to him, Howard Stern did that all the time.
What, paused?
Yeah.
Swallowed his ums? Sure.
Yep.
And
now he's doing interviews all the time, so you don't notice the opportunity from it.
I didn't notice much of that from you.
Oh, I do.
Do you?
And especially earlier on, if you would see, I would go through and edit out some of them for hours.
Okay.
And from the other podcasts that I've been on. And it looks like I'm glad it's not the old days where it was real tape. Because that would have been scotch tape to hell.
Yeah.
That's what they do to put that back together, is they scotch tape it.
Right. Oh, I remember my daughter was a film major at Rochester Institute of Technology for a while. And, in the early days, that's how she spliced film.
Yep. And then when, if it was an older film,
mm-hmm.
then the tape started drying.
Mm-hmm.
And you could actually see it on the screen.
Clogged up the machine. Yeah, it was just a mess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but now, in fact, the one like this call that I was on this morning,
mm-hmm.
I do another one every Tuesday and Thursday evening at 5:00
mm-hmm.
with these two radio guys that we talk about podcasting, content creation, not so much about radio, because most of the people are just podcasters.
Okay.
But we talk about all that and, how to improve your channels and platforms and, profiles and whatever. And I asked that question about a week and a half, 2 weeks ago. And that's what they said was to slow down, intentionally slow yourself down. As you said, eat the ums, don't put it out there and think before you speak. Like, that's not a bad idea either. And they noticed and they commented. By the end of that call, they could actually tell that I had already slowed down.
Oh, right.
I was really aggressively trying what they had suggested.
Very good.
So that's the personal thing to move forward with.
Very good. Very good. Very good. Very good. So we've been talking for 44 minutes now,
We did,
and I
yeah.
know you have to scurry off for something else.
I have.
So,
We can talk about this real quick.
oh, okay.
You've known that I've been. I haven't made a secret of the fact that I had been in therapy for PTSD,
Right.
or anxiety, depression. The PTSD being not one specific traumatic event in my adult life or Secret Service career, but some others that were repetitive, such as being investigated by the Secret Service for
yeah.
being gay twice,
Right.
by the way, during the Trump administration.
Right.
I'm also now on medication to curb the anxiety and have been for about a year now, actually over a year now.
Well, I don't know you without it, so there.
But the past month I've been on an additional one that all my gay friends perk their ears up when I say it, because it's low doses of ketamine.
Oh. Oh.
And if you know what that is, it is
Yes.
kind of sort of a hallucinogenic.
Yep.
And in larger doses, the gays like to take that at parties.
Gotcha.
Because of the hallucinogenic, side effect and factor, yeah. And also, it is a calming type. That's the result. I take it before bed, and I get maybe sometimes I had to get up. I got maybe 4 hours of sleep. Best 4 hours of sleep I've had in a long time.
Whoa.
And I'm ready to get up before my 8 a.m. Thursday call that you've been on already.
Mm-hmm.
And so this afternoon, I have my monthly virtual doctor appointment.
Med check.
To confirm that everything's going well. And that's what I have to be on at 1:30.
Okay. Well, I'll let you go.
So, yeah, another great episode. Fun times.
Yes, it was. A lot of cool stuff going on. What?
Yeah, life is looking up in a bunch of different directions, just not just mine.
Exactly. So we'll see. We'll see what happens this week. It should be a really, really interesting week. But have a good time. I'm Jane Stahl.
And I'm Yergz.
And this is Both
Sides Now. That's kind of not bad.
Yeah.
We'll see you next week, everybody.